Back there, just go ahead.
Took me longer to find the actual tab than to do anything else.
I was watching that mouse like, why? It took you 15 seconds.
Dude, I was just clicking around, man. I was just trying to figure something out.
All right, Seamus, are you gonna do the thing with the stuff? Philly!
Hello, everybody. Hello, Philadelphia. Welcome back once again to yet another edition of the Wolves of Broad Street podcast. As always, my name is Ryan Conway, and joining me here is my illustrious co-host and wartime consigliere, Sam Glavin. And, of course, we have our producer behind the glass, Seamus G. We're making our YouTube debut on the Liberty Line Podcast Network, also simulcasted on Facebook and Twitch. Want to join the conversation, honestly, best place to do it is on the YouTube. We've got a ton of great programming. Of course, we debuted Liberty Line Radio this morning. And speaking of Liberty Line Radio, Sam, we have one of the hosts of Liberty Line Radio, as well as the co-host of the Philly Pod at the Philly Pod on Twitter, and Eagles insider Victor Willams. And, of course, founder of the Liberty Line as well. So he's a very significant individual.
Run down my titles. I'm actually, the most surprising thing about this intro is me finding out that Seamus is actually behind the glass. Because I used to think that you just said that shit and he was never there. Like, I thought you would say it and then just end the broadcast yourself. And I'd be like, all right, dude. But he's actually behind the glass. So that's good.
Fully behind the glass. Has always been.
Fully behind the glass. There was a period of time where he was not behind the glass.
Yes.
and then it was a bit, but then he came back behind the glass.
I promise you, one time Ryan was like, take this out, Seamus. And I literally saw him hit the button and I was like, okay.
Don't expose us on our first show, man. Come on. Right.
Hey, man.
Bullshit.
He's here. It's not exposed. He's literally here.
Yeah, he's here. He is here.
He's here now.
And he does a great job.
Facts. He does. Got to talk to him a little bit today for the first time extensively. So. Fun stuff.
We got brand synergy. Great things going on here at the Liberty Line. And a lot of great things going on with the Birds, Vic. I mean, we're going to the playoffs. We're playing Tom Brady and the Buccaneers on Sunday. That game on Saturday against Dallas was obviously ugly, but we didn't play anybody. That was the JV versus the starters. So that was, if anything, it was more embarrassing for Dallas because they celebrated so aggressively the entire time and they were literally lighting up guys I had never heard of. I probably said who 40 times because I didn't know anybody that was on the field. So probably not too much to take stock in from that game, right?
You can I think the biggest story out of that game is that Jalen Reagor was in there playing with the fourth stringers. That should tell you how the team feels about Jalen Reagor at this point.
Yeah,
that you have one of your starting wide receivers out there playing for basically 80% of the game. So obviously we know that he hasn't got off to the right foot in this league yet. Now ending the second year of his career, didn't even hit 300 yards, 299 for this guy on the year in receiving yards. So it's not all his fault. I know Sirianni had a tough time incorporating him, in the beginning of the season. And he obviously, was in his own head and he was dealing with the tragedy of his friend in the offseason, had a lot of roadblocks to get over. But yeah, it was interesting to see him in there. We saw some good things from Kenneth Gainwell. He proved that he could be a rusher when called upon. At the end of this season now, the Eagles have 5, which I found out was the first time in NFL history that the Eagles have 5 rushers to all average 4.3 yards per carry or more between Gainwell, Jordan Howard, Miles, Jalen Hurts, and who's the fifth one? Who's the fifth one? Boston Scott. Couldn't think of all.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I mean, we've got a lot of quality backs. It's hard to keep track of all of them. Most teams don't even have 2.
I know. Yeah. Vic, do you bring up Huntley for this game to do some special teams?
I think you do as a kick returner. I think you kind of have to. I think I wanted Gainwell back there for much of the season. I think Huntley, he showed he had that burst. He should be probably doing punt returners too because Reagor obviously can't figure it out back there. We all saw Greg Ward average 2 yards per return in 2020, so he's not the answer either. I like your way of thinking there, Sam. I think he does have a role in special teams. I was kind of shocked. He didn't get a lot of time this year because he did have a strong training camp, but he was on that cusp of averaging over 4 yards. He was at 3.9. So they almost made it 6 rushes over 4 yards a carry. So he's definitely worth a look if they want to get a burst in the special teams unit.
Absolutely. I mean, pretty much all the takeaways from this Dallas game are positive because they're all because anything that happened that was bad, you chalk up to them all being JV players. But then there were a lot of guys. I mean, our offensive line, all those backups still looked pretty strong, and it obviously having Huntley back there is going to help us a lot. Just having a dynamic guy that can, like you said, have that burst, especially heading into Tampa, where we're going to need all the help we can get in terms of running the football, and especially in terms of special teams holding on to the ball and flipping the field any chance we can get with the weather. Are there any other matchups in Tampa that you think that we're going to have to exploit to come out on top? Because, I mean, it's a date with the GOAT, like the thumbnail that you put together for this episode says. This is a big-time matchup that we're going to have to find every possible avenue to win.
Yeah, it was interesting to me before we found out who the Eagles were facing in the postseason. You know, a lot of fans were saying that they were welcoming this Bucs matchup for the simple fact that obviously they don't have Godwin. They were banged up with AB's obviously not there anymore. Levante David, Leonard Fournette, who are returning to practice now. I don't know if they play, but they returned to practice today, so we have to keep an eye on that. Levante David is a guy you certainly do not want to deal with on that defense. But you look at what Richard Sherman's now done for the year. It's honestly just trying to have your run heavy offense keep up with Tom Brady. Can you win a game with the offense that is designed to just wear people out when you try to keep the ball away from Tom Brady? That's the biggest thing you have to look at. I think the most confident thing we can look at with the Eagles heading into the postseason is that Jalen Hurts, we know that Jalen Hurts doesn't have to play a perfect game for the Eagles to win. Jalen Hurts can make a mistake or two, and the Eagles can find their way out of it with their rushing attack. Now, they can't start slow like they have been. Like we were playing Mike Glennon and Garrett Gilbert off to those slow starts, so it didn't matter down the stretch. But if you get down 10-0 to Brady, not sure how long we're going to be in that game. So I think getting off to a fast start is they have to emphasize that going into Sunday.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, if I'm being fully honest with you, Vic, the offense is not my concern in the slightest. I mean, they've proven that they can put up points with ease. I mean, the running attack is phenomenal, and then you get Jalen Hurts in there using his legs as well, which opens up his area for passing in non-stressful situations. So my biggest concern is our defense, dude, going up against Tom Brady. I mean, we've said in the past that the blight of the Philadelphia fan is the average football player. But we are going up against the greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. So do you think that Gannon, like, what's his game plan here? Because he has not had a solid game plan going into any game so far this year.
Yeah, it's a good point, Sam. I've to combat that, you as well as Ryan. If it was up to you, who are you putting on Gronk? If it was up to you,
I don't know. I have no idea.
So Gannon's gonna have to figure out how to cover Gronk. Mike Evans is there. He got banged up a little bit last week, but he returned, so he should be good. Scotty Miller's there. He's a burner. Tom Brady threw a game-winning touchdown to somebody in week 17. I don't even know his name, but Brady is good for finding guys and making names out of them. The angle I kind of have for defense for this game is that you have to hope that Jonathan Gannon has learned from the week 6 matchup and he's getting head coach interest. So my hope is that he turns up this game, puts on a good audition, and he's interviewing with Denver when the playoffs are over, whenever that happens. If it happens, or they could be champions, you don't know. But you have to hope that Gannon, with all that, with the potential head coaching hire, he puts on a good show. You don't want to go out there and lay an egg, and then he's likely getting passed over this round anyway. But I'm hoping that this newfound head coaching interest kind of lights a fire up underneath him, and he tries to make a statement against, like you mentioned, the greatest quarterback this game has seen.
Absolutely, man. Tom Brady.
Angle. I mean,
Tom Brady's tough to stop, especially when he doesn't get sacked. He's the only quarterback in the NFL that's been sacked less than Jalen Hurts this year. And part of that, of course, is that Tampa Bay offensive line. But part of it is also just Brady just gets the ball out fast. Part of that is just he's able to make those reads, and part of it is just those guys are going to be open.
Too. The refs protect him.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Don't act like that's not a thing.
It's not.
It is. It is.
It's difficult, man. It's difficult to stop him. You got to get
Oh, I'm
we
not
have
saying
the defensive line to get in there.
Like you lay a finger on Brady, them flags are flying. So
there's no question about it. Hopefully because I mean it's supposed to be rainy and it's supposed to be like quarter to a half inch of rain on the field. Hopefully it just in the mud and the guts down there we can get a couple shots in. Because I kind of think we need some retribution for Donovan McNabb in that Super Bowl. A lot of late hits out of bounds. I think, in the weather, we can get a couple cheap shots in on Brady, who he's on steroids. So we need to level the playing field somehow, right?
There it is.
He's a 43-year-old man playing professional football. He's clearly on some form of performance-enhancing drugs, Lance Armstrong style. So we got to get those hits on him any way we can. And
if he's on steroids, what's LeBron on in his 19th season?
Hey man,
we're not talking about basketball right now.
Yeah, I'm just seeing
Chinese government.
I'm just seeing how the narratives align here.
Yeah, we have our own narrative and we push it pretty hard. So
yeah, exactly.
Vic, Ryan brought up a good point about the weather before he started going on this steroids bullshit kind of thing. I honestly think that the weather being bad this weekend plays in favor of the Eagles and plays in favor of the run game. And, Tom Brady while he's the GOAT, he'll throw an interception or two in a game. Like he will. And it won't hurt him in the game itself, but he'll throw an interception in a game. And I think that I think doing all that stuff with the weather and like our run game and stuff, we've got to have our defensive line going after the quarterback and their offensive line. I mean, do you see the weather as this big a factor as I do, or what's going on?
Yeah, you're right on the money there, Sam, as far as the weather, because one thing we have to remember is the potential of Leonard Fournette not playing. They have Le'Veon Bell, obviously, but if Fournette's not in there, Tom Brady's probably passing more. He'll be more prone to those turnovers that you mentioned. The only thing that the weather could backfire on the Eagles is if they become too one-dimensional and then it becomes expected and Tampa locks down on the run and they force Jalen Hurts to throw. He's already not a great, not a developed passer. I don't want to, ruffle feathers. Like he's already not a developed passer in the NFL yet. So I'm not sure if I want him back there throwing 25 times in great weather, let alone this kind of weather. So if they become too one-dimensional because of the weather, and then the defense locks down on that run, that could be a detriment to the Eagles offense. Hopefully the offensive lineman is ready to go, and it doesn't really matter if they expect it or not. Even with 15 different rotations, that OL has still been dominant. So I'm not too concerned about it. But if the weather forces Jalen Hurts to throw, I'm not sure how confident I am in that.
Yeah, we could be in trouble if that's the main.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, we could be in trouble there. Not that I don't trust. I trust Jalen Hurts going into this game. I really do.
Not as it's just not a strong suit. He's he's a bad passer. He's just a second-year quarterback. Like he's gonna make mistakes.
We're on the same page there, but big guy. That's my thinking exactly.
Jalen Hurts gives me all the confidence in the world, honestly. It has nothing to do with on the field, although he has made some throws. I mean, you've seen improvement. You can't deny there have been improvements in him throwing the football as the year has gone on. That's all we can ask for, really, out of a second-year quarterback that we think was overdrafted in the second round. Like, great to have, great to see from him. But like, just he's really just got balls of steel. Like nothing really rattles this guy. I mean, he had that fadeaway pitch for a touchdown. Like he tripped and fell backwards and was still locked in a high pressure situation. Not every quarterback in the league can do that. A lot of guys are just going to fall all over themselves and look like a jackass. Jalen Hurts and all those intangibles that people like to talk about, he's got every single one of them. I mean, you saw him in that used car ad for those Cadillacs. I wanted to buy a Cadillac. I've never wanted to buy a Cadillac.
I don't even like Cadillac, but I'd buy one.
Yeah, I don't either.
Hell no. I've never wanted a Cadillac in my life. And then I saw him hawking used caddies, and I was like, I could see myself behind the wheel.
Yeah, I think the most rattled I've ever seen Jalen Hurts is probably the Monday night game against Dallas, where he like visibly looked shaken, and you were like, "Oh, this is getting ugly fast." Like,
yeah, man,
that's probably the one time. But he's certainly developing as a passer. There's plays that he's made later on in the season where if it was week 3, he would have took off running. He's standing in the pocket, making better throws. I don't know if it's as a result of his ankle bothering him, or if he's developing, or if he's trusting his receivers more, or a combination of all three. Sometimes injuries, force you to get out of bad habits. And while unfortunate, it could be a blessing in disguise. So maybe that's a situation here.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, what I noticed in the beginning of the season with Jalen Hurts was those the illegal man downfield penalties on
They assumed he's running.
the
So
O
they're
line.
running.
Yeah, so and we haven't seen nearly as many of those as we have as we did in the beginning of the year. So I really do think that he's developed. I mean, it's great that he's had the offensive line that he's had for his second year being in the league. Hopefully we can recreate that next season. I mean, I don't want to talk about next season yet, but yeah, man, I'm excited. So I know it's Wednesday, but we only do the show once a week. Vic, do you have a score prediction?
I can come up with one. Give me like 5 minutes.
Yeah, come up with one. Ryan, go ahead and say your stuff.
I'm going 27-24. Birds.
That's what I was gonna go with.
Birds. But hey, say it, man. Double down.
That's exactly what I was gonna do. I was gonna do 27-24.
Playing with house money, baby.
Yeah.
How many rushing touchdowns?
It's house money. It is.
It's house money.
We have nothing to lose in this football game.
No.
Our players should go out.
Those teams are often the most dangerous. The ones that
exactly.
Yeah, and I believe Park Sportsbook has I think it's 8.5. Like, take those points all day for sure.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Lay the freaking rent, mortgage, whatever you're paying. The tuition in y'all case.
and you want to know what you can do, where you can wager that money? You can wager it on the Park Sportsbook app. You can go ahead and make an account with code Wolves69.
It took y'all 16 minutes to bring it up. This is ridiculous. I don't.
Hey man, all I'm saying is I'm not feeling a lot.
That's
of
record timing for us.
I'm not feeling a lot of motivation from the good people.
You got to bring in the lines, man. Bring in the lines. Anyway, I would take the points for sure. Score wise, man. I'll say it's 26-21 Bucks. I think the Eagles cover, but I think they lose by more than a field goal, but less than a touchdown. So I'll say 26-21.
You're a rat.
You're
clearly not. Vic, we're going to the Super Bowl, so I don't know what you say. You can't predict the loss if we're going to the Super Bowl, because then you're going to be wrong.
It's not how it works.
We'll just predict losses. Oh, you picked Birds, didn't you? Oh, yeah, well, I'll be the objective one. Like, you gotta, Brady's gonna probably gonna make a play, and it happens.
He's Tom Brady. I mean, it's obviously gonna be tough, but hey,
you see that belt though. If we win, bring me on the very next day. That belt will be great.
Acknowledge me.
Kind of hurts, to be honest.
I think one of the biggest things for me, like, just from my mindset in terms of like a fan right now, is like, we'll go in. If we win, fantastic. If we lose, you know what we have to look forward to? 3 fucking first-round draft picks.
3 first-round picks, a potential wide receiver 2 in free agency, a second quarterback who's shown growth, potentially upwards in $30 million of cap space with restructures. It is not that I've been looking ahead or anything.
Yeah. That is just that's never happened. I've never been optimistic this early for next year.
I expect you to be like, oh, I can't be like, oh, we played no-name QBs to end the season. We had a losing record. We haven't beaten. I mean, not a losing record. We haven't beaten a single team with a winning record. That was the Glavin I was expecting. But this man's.
No, I'm excited. I only get super negative with the Phillies and the Sixers. I'm pretty positive when it comes to the Eagles, unless they suck. If they're average,
early in the season, man. Yeah. Early in the season, here's the thing about this Eagles team and why I have more faith in them now with each passing week is because, I mean, it was basically a brand new football team last year. I mean, obviously we had those core veteran guys, but we didn't have a training camp. Really, it was all virtual, and preseason was bullshit. Jalen Hurts had never started a full season. Nick Sirianni never been a head coach before. Devontae Smith, a rookie. Obviously, having dog shit players like Rager and J-Jaw on the roster didn't help.
Rager our identity. Up and coming. All right, dog shit's
hey, man. That's not even funny.
But the team
anymore.
J-Jaw, yes, I finally gave up on J-Jaw after last weekend. That was it for me. The final page got ripped out the chapter. That was
the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, he ruined my life that night.
Once he's gone, everything will be just roses. But right now, in spite of J-Jaw, in spite of Rager, the team chemistry is incredible. You heard Jordan Mailata today talking about Jalen Hurts holding himself more accountable, which is something that was clear that the locker room did not see in Carson Wentz, which is part of why that whole thing fell apart very quickly, was the lack of accountability. Meanwhile, Jordan Mailata is saying this guy's holding himself so accountable. Like, that's just what you love to hear about your quarterback as a leader. I mean, the guy's what, like 23 years old? He's like as old as I am. Jesus Christ.
Brady is 44.
That's a man right
biggest
there.
Age disparity of a playoff game in NFL history between quarterbacks.
It is.
I think
it's same thing with wins too.
Stupid.
Playoff wins.
I mean,
and he is going for. He can break Carson Wentz's passing record in the playoffs. He just needs 5 yards.
He needs 1.
I think he needs 4.
5
he threw for 4. He threw for 4 against Seattle.
He threw for 4 against Seattle.
Oh my God! Yeah, I know. I should have known. We were at that game. Seamus G and I were at that game.
I can understand why you might block that one out, though.
Yeah,
I mean, very much. Josh McCown almost brought it home, though. Josh McCown.
He almost did. That was
the
crazy.
way he was running around the field, like
horn hamstring and all.
Oh my gosh. That was horrible.
That's why they drafted Hurts, though. I think that game is the reason why they drafted Hurts. They saw McCown get tackled on that final play, and if you figure if Jalen Hurts is in there at that time, he probably gets in the end zone and maybe survives a week, and Carson comes back, and who knows?
Probably.
But yeah, man. Did Carson take accountability for the Colts collapse or not really?
Barely.
Oh.
Not.
He just
really
talked about how much he loved his teammates and how he's sad.
I mean, I would too if I fumbled the season like that. I would love all my teammates after that.
Dude, that fumble that he had was so egregious. Like
the pick was worse.
That was such a Carson Wentz. Dude, that pick sucked. But the fumble was, if he had just pulled the ball in, he wouldn't have fumbled it. It wasn't that it got knocked. He was trying to do a shovel pass, and essentially, like as he's going down, and he gets and his arm gets hit, and I'm just like, dude,
this man threw a 4.4 QBR. Turn the ball over twice. All you had to do was literally beat the Jaguars.
Can't believe
as no head coach,
that motherfucker.
Like, I'm not big on Trevor Lawrence personally. I never bought into the hype of him. And you let him have the best game of his career that day. Man, you want to talk about going out on the best note possible. The Jaguars with the upset win and still getting the first overall pick because the Lions decided they wanted to remember the Titans that day and win and beat the Packers. So, man, to win that game and to still end up with the number 1 overall pick, that's good for the Jaguars, even though I don't really like Trevor Lawrence. But
no,
that's crazy for Carson. It justifies everything. Like the way the season ended, playing all the snaps and missing the playoffs. Lord, you can't even write it any better than that.
That was
it worked out so perfect for us. Yeah, literally perfection.
Dude, it was so funny because Coach of the Year candidate, MVP candidate, Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and they missed the playoffs. When they're favored by 2 touchdowns, they get their shit pushed in by the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that didn't even look like they were trying to play football for 14 weeks of the season. So that you're right, Vic. We won the trade. It's over. He's officially dead. I think he can be officially dead to us now. I think now that we've got our pick out of him, we saw the immediate results. We're in the playoffs, and now we can leave Carson Wentz in the rear view. I mean, we can still laugh at his misfortune, as time goes on occasionally, but he can just be gone from the general consciousness of Philadelphia now as we move into this playoff game against Tom fucking Brady. And we all know what happened the last time we played Tom Brady in a playoff game. Still gives him nightmares. He wakes up in the middle of the night screaming, sweating, peed himself a little.
Did they sign Nick Foles to a 1-day contract yet? Just for that day?
I was just gonna say,
just to have him on the sideline, just be like, I want to shake your hand.
Water boy. No, Nick Foles is the official water boy this week. He's gonna go out there and be like, "Hey Tom, like, want some?"
You should be the ball boy. Be like, I think this ball weighs perfectly.
I'd be out
there. No air taken out of this one, Tom.
No air. Filled it just now. It's all.
Beautiful. Oh my God.
Rat.
Well, Vic, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. Doug P to the Bears.
I mean, not to the Bears literally, but he interviewed today.
He did.
He interviewed.
Doug P. Before we let you go, where do you think Doug Peterson ends up?
I feel like the Jags make a lot of sense. Like he could probably take Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields, to be honest, and turn them into decent, quarterbacks.
Oh, man. For me, it would be Miami. If he goes to Miami, it's over. I
think he likes Tua. The playoffs. Tua's kind of a weird fit for him, though.
Dude, Tua's not. Yeah, dude. I think Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you take a look at the speed they have on that offense. He can. I mean, he can do it. I think they need to get rid of Trent Baalke, and then he goes there.
Yeah,
is the whole thing.
Chicago is intriguing. Chicago, I'd be very intrigued with him going there with Justin Fields and
Justin Fields.
I know Allen Robinson's leaving, but Mooney is a baller. They still have Montgomery. They got some players there. Miami. I don't know how that would work. I never really envisioned him there. That's a good thought.
I don't know about him in Miami. I don't know.
Where's Brian Flores go? Where do you think?
Philadelphia
defensive.
Yeah, I would take him as a D coordinator. Like, are you kidding me?
I hope the Dolphins. I hope the Dolphins
get
hire Gannon or hire.
You need
Gannon.
to root for this game just so Gannon gets hired.
Or Zimmer. Like, geez,
I'm big on Zimmer. I don't know why everybody's screaming for Zimmer, but
dude, he's a bitch. He's an asshole,
and he's red all the time. Like, I don't.
He's so red, and they play indoors now. At first, you could kind of give him like the benefit of the doubt because he was outside of Minnesota, but now he's just red. He's just red inside. I'm like, bro, are you good? Are you all right?
Blood pressure hydrated? If Kirk Cousins was my quarterback, my blood pressure would be through the roof.
I'm dead right now. I wouldn't be here. My heart would give out.
Kellen Mondo better than Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, right. Oh, that poll was, or that ranking was just egregious. We talked about it for like 2 weeks before the season started. It was
good time.
That was the most egregious thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
All right, Vic. Thank you so much, Victor Willams at the Philly Pod, Eagles Insider, founder of the Liberty Line, and just general good guy. Thanks so much for coming out, hanging out, talking.
Vibe roommate.
I'll see you in the vibe room after the show, bro.
Appreciate y'all. Be easy, man.
You too, see you, brother. That was pretty cool. He's the man.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent, Vic. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, you can follow him on Twitter at the Philly Pod, as a podcast by the same name, and also Liberty Line Radio here on the Liberty Line YouTube channel and on Twitch as well. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Him and Stephen Conrad Jr. cooking up a thrice a week show for the masses. Quality rundown, all things Philly, all things sports. Sam, after all that positive stuff, might as well just offset that completely with some all-time levels of negativity. And with that, we're going to the doghouse. Brought to you by Wide Plank Floor Supply. Visit their website at www.wideplankfloorsupply.com. Get a recommendation for a contractor. Get a quote. Wide Plank Floor Supply. If it's wide, they've got it. Sam Glavin. Gugene, who you got in the doghouse this week?
I've got the midday radio show host, Joe DeCamara from WIP. In the doghouse today because I was listening. I was making my deliveries for Wide Plank Floor Supply today, and I just turned the radio on just to pass the time a little bit, and I'm hearing these words come out of his mouth, and he's talking about Tom Brady with such grace, with such love, with such passion, and I was like, "Hey, Joe, we're playing him this weekend, right? It's not. He's comparing him to Michael Jordan and like how he's one of his favorite athletes of all time, like non-biased, like try to be super like niche and non-biased, just like pull back from like Eagles fandom for a second, and just have an absolute affair with Tom Brady today. And I didn't appreciate that on the Wednesday before a fucking playoff game against him. So
yeah,
doghouse.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous. I don't like when guys do that. Like, look, if I wanted to, pull away from the perspective of being a Philly fan, I wouldn't listen to local sports radio.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, I would like, that's just if I didn't want to hear the perspective of a Philly fan on a situation, I would listen to literally any other fucking station, Not that I listen to WIP, but it does seem, Sam, like they need, it almost seems like they want the Eagles to lose. It's like they need the Eagles to lose to stay relevant as a station at this point.
Yeah, and part of me thinks
considering they cover them. They have the exclusive broadcasting and everything, but it's the hate that fuels the engagement for them more than anything else.
Yeah, and part of me thinks that it was like a bit, to get callers in and stuff and get them mad and get content flowing and stuff. I mean, look, we're fucking talking about it right now. I mean, it doesn't matter to them, but yeah, part of me, like a small part of me, thinks that it might have been a bit, but regardless, fuck you. Like, get out of here. We're talking about Tom Brady like he's the second coming of Jesus, which he is. Like, I mean, acknowledge that. I know he's the GOAT. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But let's not talk about him like he's God before we play him in a playoff game.
Yeah, that's the last thing anybody needs. Like, I don't know why they felt the need to do that. So absolutely get in the doghouse. No question in my mind.
Who do you have in the doghouse, Mr. Conway?
Well, Sam, I have my beloved Philadelphia 76ers in the doghouse.
Awesome.
Well, and for two reasons tonight. One, they just lost to the fucking Charlotte Hornets by 11. One of the laziest efforts I've ever seen on both ends of the floor for 48 minutes out of the Sixers team. And I have the stream up next to me right now, and just Doc Rivers' face, like I want to punch him. Like I don't even want to. I'm actually Xing out of it right now.
Wasn't he one of the coach, like the first coach ever to get traded?
Is that he got true? Fucking traded, dude.
Let's trade him again.
I don't know, dude. Again. I wanted to trade Doug instead of firing him. I thought we could have traded Doug. We could have packaged Doug and Carson somewhere and gotten like a quarterback and like maybe like a bag of footballs or something.
Yeah.
But regardless, the Sixers are also in the doghouse for another reason, because they allowed NBA super agent, founder of Clutch Sports, Rich Paul, to sit fucking courtside tonight.
That's horrendous.
How do you let the single man that is perpetrating one of the worst injustices, one of the worst slights ever in the face of the Sixers organization, and then have the balls to sit courtside? I understand he's Tyrese Maxey's agent as well. I understand he represents a lot of guys in the NBA. Yeah. But
did not know that.
And it is Tyrese's first game back off the COVID list. Great to have him back. I mean, he didn't really play well at all, but he just had a fucking disease. So whatever. But I don't see how you as an organization, while Rich Paul is essentially just like has you bent over a table right now and is playing with your balls. Like, I don't see how you let him sit at the at the court side in your arena. Sitting feet away from Joel Embiid, the man who he is slandering in the media on pretty much a daily basis and has been for the last 9 months. And I get it. You got to politic. You still got to work with the guy to get him a box. Put him in a box. Don't put him fucking courtside. I don't need to see that son of a bitch's face in this city. I don't need to see him anywhere near my basketball team. Get him up in the box. Give him a luxury suite. Whatever helps move the negotiations along. But don't have him 10 feet away from my fucking MVP. Don't have him 10 feet away from my superstar that he fucking slanders and spits in his face on a daily basis. I will not have that. I will not have that treatment of a star. And I'm sure Joel's okay with it. He's not going to complain. He's a good guy. He's on board with the team holding out to look for a star. So he understands that this is going to be a protracted negotiation that could last as long as until the summer. But even so, get Rich Paul's face off my television screen. I do not need to see it.
Yeah, could not agree with you more there. You could just as easily schmooze him up in a box, like you said.
More easily, even.
Yeah, more easily. Yeah, you're right. You can have, it's easier to probably get him a couple of beverages, and he's watching the game from up there. And I don't know. I've always wanted to check out a box in the Wells Fargo Center.
Dude, I'm sure nowadays too. I like it because they've upgraded in like the last couple of years. Like right before the pandemic. I'm sure they're super nice. So yeah, get Rich Paul. Sixers, get Rich Paul off my court, and Sixers, get in the doghouse for the time being, you rat fuckers. All right, that's going to do it for the doghouse. Brought to you by Brought to you by Wide Blank Floor Supply. Visit their website at www.wideblankfloorsupply.com. Get a recommendation for a contractor. Get a quote. Wide Blank Floor Supply. If it's wide, they've got it. Sam, just going to talk a little bit about the Philadelphia 76ers. Joel Embiid had his 8th straight 30-point game tonight.
Easy money.
He's obviously setting the world on fire.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm seeing here in the chat that nobody booed Rich Paul tonight.
That is outrageous. We should I know the doghouse just ended, but the fact that nobody booed him in that stadium, fans that went to that game tonight, collective doghouse. Get in there. Like,
collective doghouse. Retroactive collective doghouse.
Yes. I think that's the first retroactive doghouse in the history of the doghouse, too.
I've never seen one. I've never seen
bad. It's awful.
Making history. What fucking episode is this anyway? What number?
80-something. 85,
is this,
I think, Seamus.
85?
85. Never had a retroactive doghouse before.
85 episodes, never a retroactive doghouse. Guy said Embiid was a bad teammate. Philly fans are awful. Sixers suck. Sitting fucking courtside. It's crazy. It is crazy. So, yeah, absolutely retroactive doghouse. We'll get him in there.
And just after we told the people that it was okay to boo.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. Like, this is a guy that you can boo. This is a billionaire. Like, this is like one of the like a very rich man, a very influential man. Of all people to boo, this is the guy.
Yeah.
This is the guy.
You can easily, I mean, I could maybe understand. Actually, no, I don't even understand. I was going to say that I could maybe understand not wanting to boo Ben Simmons if he was like on the side of the court, not to like, but yeah, definitely boo Ben Simmons. But this is definitely the guy because this is his fault that all this is down. You could definitely boo him. That's not going to hurt anybody's feelings.
Something real fishy going on. Something
I don't like that.
Fishy going on.
I don't like that at all. I really hope there's a comment in here that I feel like we can't really pass up. Is it true that Ben Simmons is gone? I sure hope so, but I really doubt it.
Apparently, there are reports that he is going to be quote ready to play in a few weeks because that really is it. Because if your team is going to trade for Ben Simmons, you're going to want him to play for you. You're not going to want to pay him to go on a coffee date with his girlfriend. Or fiance, apologies.
Fiance, yeah, you're engaged.
I mean, a beautiful woman, but come on, man. Like, Jesus Christ. So, yeah, he's probably going to be inching back to play. I hope we get him moved. I hope we can get him moved. I hope we get a star. I don't know who we're going to get. Daryl's got his list. He's checking it twice, and hopefully he rolls the dice, honestly. But, Sam, I don't want to talk about Ben Simmons anymore. I know.
Facts.
I don't want to. We're going to talk about Joel Embiid right now.
Yes.
We're going to talk about how good Joel Embiid
that guy
is. He is so good. It's ridiculous. He is better than Nikola Jokic. I saw yesterday that somebody tweeted out Nikola Jokic has a higher deep breath, blank, and all these advanced metrics than Joel Embiid. And it's like, it's not even a debate. And my favorite part about that tweet, Sam, is that there was a typo and he spelled breath like breathe. So
breathe.
So idiot. Like, wow, yeah, like I can't even fucking spell, and I'm supposed to. It's amazing.
I love that.
Wow, yes. I mean, dude, the stat sexuals are out. They are beating their meat on the timeline. It's ridiculous.
Always. Meanwhile, especially when it comes to the Sixers too, man. Like, it's just Sixers Twitter is just. We talk about it every episode. Sixers Twitter is terrible, man.
It's terrible.
Like, I can't even believe that we're still questioning whether or not that Joel Embiid is like an MVP caliber player.
I don't even know if the Sixers are, but
I don't get it.
Across the league, absolutely.
Yeah.
We've seen it We've seen crab behavior from multiple people, from multiple fan bases. Like that guy that tweeted that about Jokic was obviously a Nuggets guy. There was that one chick that said that Joel Embiid was basically Kendrick Perkins, which is just so ridiculous because you take a look at how Joel Embiid is playing. If you watch Joel Embiid, you see that he is doing shit that Nikola Jokic absolutely cannot do. And all the credit in the world to Nikola Jokic. He was one of my favorite players in the league before he started to challenge Joel Embiid, for best center in the league, because obviously that, that's a more important allegiance to me than just a random guy that I like to watch, some random Serbian guy. But you take a look, there are just so many people that don't understand what Joel Embiid does. And also how Joel Embiid is limited. They say the Nuggets are worse than the Sixers in terms of talent. I disagree. The Sixers fucking suck.
They're terrible, dude. I can't watch them.
We're paying Tobias Harris $180 million to shoot 45% from the field, 19 points on 15 shots. Unacceptable. Everyone else has been in and out with COVID. Danny Green is old as dirt and is not playing up to the standard that he was last year to close out the year. These people that talk about the Sixers and compare the Nuggets and the Sixers don't watch the Sixers. They don't. They go and they look at, look at the stat. Look at this stat. Look at these fucking equations. If you have a stat that requires more than one function of mathematics, that isn't just addition and division, you're fucked. You're already lost. If you extend into the world of linear algebra or pre-calculus, trigonometry, one of those fucking things, you are so far gone, I don't think you can ever be recovered. Because this guy, and you want to know how I know this guy doesn't watch the Sixers, Sam? Is because he talked about how Jokic should be MVP because he's the only guy that can't get the ball in the post consistently because of his point guard. And I'm like,
hello?
You drive me insane. You drive me up the wall.
Even I know that. That's like that's been the biggest problem for 5 years.
Dude, it's infuriating. Yes, right here. If your abbreviation for a stat is more than 5 letters, shut the fuck up. Yes. Yes, absolutely. It's like your stat is like a Wordle fucking clue or whatever. Yeah. It's crazy. I don't like it.
Unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable. I mean, this is partially why I hate the NBA. I mean, like everybody and their dog knows at this point that I fucking hate the NBA, and it's because of shit like this. You know? It's just horrendous. Horrendous.
It is indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So, it is indeed, man.
I think it will be now time for Seamus G to pop in for a little bit of Seamus Says. Seamus.
Please join us.
Hey.
What's up? Wonderful start to the debut on the Liberty Lines YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Been a great day so far for the Liberty Line. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, I just have a little quick Seamus Says for anybody who doesn't know. I just like write shitty poems and say them on air. So it's fun.
Yeah. Seamus Says, baby.
This poem's title is Fuck a Buck.
Nice.
We're not broke. We don't need a buck. If we faced Giannis in the conference finals, then we'd beat a buck. Carson choked last week. So next week, all he'll do is have to shoot a buck. It's going to be a tall task. I'll keep it a buck. The Birds are back in the playoffs. And now Kelsey, Lane Johnson, and Jordan Mailata got to say stuff like the buck stops here. Get it trending. Buck stops here.
Buck stops
nice.
Here.
I love the wordplay and the homophones. Oh man.
Thanks,
great.
man. You know, we get after it. We'll do a little something.
That was your most creative one yet.
Oh, you think?
It was.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for that reason. Kind of, your experimentation with style and meter is something that I've enjoyed watching it blossom over the weeks.
I appreciate that. We're definitely trying out new stuff.
Yeah, very good stuff. I think we're expecting guests soon.
We are indeed. We are expecting Chris Stumpo of the Liberty Owl. I've been in community. Part of why I was on my phone right there was to discuss with him. All right, so we've got a little bit of time. So with that, Seamus,
will we be seeing Danny at all?
I don't know about Danny.
Well, Danny, Chris, Danny, if you're watching, come through.
Yeah,
love to talk some
absolutely.
Flyers. Yeah.
We've got a little time before we get Stumps in here. So, guys, I do want to say, very much looking forward to this year. Very much looking forward to just pretty much this playoff run that we're about to go on, because it is going to be a playoff run. It right now for the next month. It's because it's going to be for the next month. We're going to be playing at least 3 games, and then we're going to go to the Super Bowl. That's 4 games.
Yes,
it's going to be a treat. And Seamus, we didn't get to hear your thoughts on the Buccaneers game. I would like
the Buccaneers game is going to be very interesting. I do think that the weather is going to play a role. I'm not one of those guys who thinks that the weather doesn't matter, because, like, if a receiver has to play in the cold, it's going to be hard to catch a brick coming at them. But
or slippery,
Well, there's that too. But I mean, I don't know, man. You guys are saying what, 27-24?
That's what we both rocked with.
That's what we came with individually.
I might have to go the Victor Willams route and say it's going to be a loss.
It's all right. He's the producer. He's supposed to keep it. Our producer is supposed to lay the reins on us sometimes.
We cover. We cover. Yeah. Good teams win. Great teams cover. Okay, and we cover. So we're a great team. It will be fun. It's going to be interesting. I really do hope that Brandon Graham goes out for the coin toss just to make sure Tom Brady sees a ghost or two while he's out there.
Absolutely. That's what you got to have. The captains definitely need to be. But here's the thing. We also need to be careful not to talk any shit. It has to be very reserved, because as soon as you start talking shit to Tom Brady, that's where shit kind of hits the fan. And we got Ted Nicholas in the chat right here, 24-20 win. And I like that score line. I don't think either team is going to break 30 unless, there's a defensive score in garbage time. Like, that's the only way I see this game breaking the 30-point threshold just because of the weather that is forecasted. I mean, people are not saying it's like not hurricane weather, but like tropical storm weather, like kind of along those lines. Like it's going to be pretty shitty. It's not going to be cold. It's not going to be like a January rain in Philly. That would just suck. That would be 10 times worse, but it's still going to be wet. And guys, we didn't get to talk about this with Victor, but I do want our defensive line.
Yeah, you're right. I meant
to
bring that up, but
they're gonna have to get it after. Like I know I said we're gonna have to get after Tom Brady and lay some dirty hits on him, maybe, but we're gonna have to just consistently get in his face, and we're also gonna have to stuff the run, which is I think both teams are really gonna lean on the run game, obviously because of the weather. I mean, we saw Bill Belichick run the ball 45 times, throw like twice. Like that's something like we could really start to branch into that route, especially if we get it going. Like we're gonna need we just need to own the trenches, and I think we can win.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm definitely a little worried about the defensive side with the trenches. Like, how much pressure have we gotten when we faced a good O line? Like, it hasn't been stellar. Like, it hasn't been out of this world this year. Especially, I mean, I'm comparing it to like the Super Bowl year where it was just we could rush 4. I mean that was ungodly. But you know, like the Bucs have a really good offensive line, and it's tough to get pressure on Brady. Even if you do get pressure on him, you got to make sure that you get him off his spot and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Well, I have I think we talked about this with Ryan pre-show, but I couldn't remember. But I have a little special segment here planned, and as you know, it was Christmas not too long ago, and my gift for Seamus G didn't come in on time, and I was like, "Fuck! Like, when is this gonna come in?" And it came in a few days ago, and I haven't been able to give it to him yet. But I thought it would be hilarious if I opened it live on the air for everybody to see.
I'm looking
Merry
forward
Christmas
to it.
Style. So
a little unboxing.
Yeah, just a little unboxing for the people listening on Spotify YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. You're kind of fucked, but whatever.
If you are, check out the Wolves of Broad Street on YouTube. We post everything there. Also, the Liberty Line YouTube, which we're live on right now. You should definitely check that out.
Definitely do that one.
Definitely do that. I'm gonna rustle it a little bit for the Spotify viewers.
No, really get in there. Get that ASMR. Yeah. Hold on.
And, there it is.
Let me turn my volume up.
What is happening?
And it's in a bag inside a bag, so I'm gonna get
good.
So it's good quality stuff right there.
Yes, it is.
That's exactly what it is.
I'll tell you where it's from. It's directly from
China. Sorry.
Probably, but it's directly from the NHL Pro Shop.
Oh, let's go.
Oh, that's so nice.
Sweet.
Right here.
That's so fucking fresh, dude.
Oh, man.
And dude, if I was if I was in the area today for deliveries, I would have just dropped it at your house because I brought it to work. But I wasn't even close to Newtown Square today. So, and then I had this little idea. So there it is.
That's
right here.
That's a nice looking hat. That's a producer hat right there. That's got character.
That's what I was thinking.
That's
perfect
so
producer hat.
That's such a producer. That's such a Seamus G behind the glass lid right there. Love that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's gonna be perfect,
Good
dude.
stuff. So Merry Christmas, Seamus G.
Oh, thanks, bud. It's such
beautiful
an odd
moment.
Concept, but I love it.
Friends and family.
I saw
I'll
it.
Be honest.
I
thought that it was a gift from Seamus to you that you're opening.
No, it's for Seamus.
So I thought that it was funny that it was a Flyers hat because I was like, cool. Like, Sam can rock a Flyers hat now. He's finally fitted out.
Seamus got me a Flyers hat last year.
That did happen. I was trying to woo him to the dark side. That
I got
is
it right
the Flyers. Speaking of the Flyers, can I like just introduce the state of the team a little bit right now?
Absolutely.
Good.
There we go.
It's beautiful.
Now I'm ready to go. We're ready to go for the Flyers.
Perfect. You're like Ash Ketchup, like ready to go. All right. With the hat or whatever. Fuck.
You said Ash Ketchup. No, you said Ash Ketchup.
I thought
He did say ketchup. I'm not gonna lie to you.
These
I'm an
kids
Irishman.
catch 'em.
Yeah, you're right.
Catch 'em.
You're right. I'm
Oh.
wrong. But the
Yes.
Flyers, man.
No, you are wrong.
No, I'm so wrong. Boo me.
You're bad.
Oh no.
Oh man. Oh my God! It's time for stick talk.
Yeah, it's time for some stick talk. So the only saving grace still for this team is the goalies. Mike Yeo has been horrible. Keith Yandel. Can we call him an Iron Man? He's like a bronze man. I don't. He's more in the Stone Age than anything. But like, dude, it's really brutal, and especially the most recent game Cam York played. I don't know about the most recent, but Cam York played, and he was the quarterback, so he was at the point, the closest to the blue line, facing the goal. That was a lot of terminology for you, Sam. I'm sorry.
It was. And I heard quarterback, and I was like, what the fuck?
Basically, he controls where the puck goes. And
I understood it in context. I knew it wasn't an actual hockey position. I did know that, but I was I was caught off guard. I was.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure he's 20 years old. Don't quote me on that. But
Right.
he's a really young prospect, and he's been shown flashes in the AHL. We don't know why he hasn't been up, but finally he got the call after a bunch of COVID issues, and he got a point on the power play by throwing the puck, and it hit off JVR. Like, he just basically rolled into a goal. So
Nice.
There are nice things about this team to look forward to, but this year is such a wash, and it's really brutal. It's so brutal, guys. It's so brutal. Like, I have trouble getting through all 60 minutes. Like, when you have when you're up 2-0, and then you have someone like Hurdle score a hat trick in the third period on you. Well, 2 in the third period, 1 in overtime. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, you can't stop one guy. And it's the San Jose Sharks, and they were supposed to be the shit show.
Don't they suck?
They're not good. They're not good, and they look better than us right now. They have better prospects in the pipeline. It's
not the pipeline, dude.
Yeah, dude, the pipeline's looking nice for them. Yeah,
dude, our pipeline's like that one that got shut down.
Yeah, no, it's eroded.
Mm-hmm.
It's an eroded pipeline.
Eroded pipeline. It's affecting the wildlife.
Yeah, no,
it's not good. There's a leak.
It's
on
based.
Our
pipeline is like the Schuylkill. Like, it's just bad.
no,
horrendous.
Dude, speaking of Schuylkill,
yeah,
we gotta fucking drain that thing and just pave it over, because the traffic is ridiculous. What the fuck is going on in that area?
Dude, you can't just get rid of the Schuylkill.
Yeah, no, we have to. It's over. We need to turn it into.
You are the worst kind of person.
Dude, I'm sorry, but you have to understand. Our dear leader, Drew Smith, was in traffic for 2 hours. That's unacceptable. Not that but you can't have that. This is the developed world, okay? We're not in New Delhi, all right? We're not all in rickshaws. We're not on dirt roads. We have the funds. We have the technology. We have the ability. I think we just need to drain the Schuylkill completely and pave it over and turn that into the Schuylkill Expressway, because it is becoming too much.
What happens to Boathouse Row?
Fucking it's a rest stop.
You are just the worst.
I don't fucking care. Sorry. Oh, right, Sam. You're right. The entire set. Most people in Philadelphia do travel by boat, so that's really gonna fucking throw a wrench in the whole
I'm not. It's
the
like
everyday. I'm sorry. Would the quality of life increase or decrease with more space for cars to drive?
Maybe for you.
All I'm saying,
not everybody.
For me, or for 90% of the city.
In terms of construction, right? would say that would cause way more. Nobody would be able to get into the fucking city.
Yeah.
For like
can
10
they
years.
now?
For like 10 years,
Dude.
it'd be 10 times worse. It would be 11 and a half times worse.
Sam, there's people do it all. You're right. Nobody should ever improve because it would inconvenience people in the short term.
No,
right.
I don't
Society
think you
should not
understand the
advance.
level of
it's everything to the city. Like that road
to drive into the city.
It's not everything to the city. It's not. It's fine.
All right, I was embellishing.
Fine. You can drive.
You can't. Like if you shut down the Schuylkill to repave it, right? And you got one lane going into this, so that's one lane on the Schuylkill. On top of that, you have everybody trying to go around and back ways into the city. That's gonna get clogged up. It would be a shit show.
By what?
They're never gonna fix it.
By what? How?
What do you mean?
How? What do you mean? They're already doing that. It's already fucked right now. They're already doing. That's what I'm saying. You need more pavement. You need more pavement.
I understand that, but to make more lanes and to make more pavement, you have.
How does anybody build anything?
You have
no,
to.
They don't. It's next to it. It's next to it. I'm proposing to drain a river. It's on a different part. You can dredge it with boats. Sam, there are a lot of different ways to do things. I think you're very close-minded here. And you're getting too angry. You're getting too angry.
No, I'm getting angry because I lived through this for the past 10 years of my life when they were extending the Northeast Extension.
That
476.
It's freaking brutal.
For 15 years. Awful.
It's infrastructure.
It was 2 lanes. It was 2 lanes.
You not want to
improve now it? It's 3, but it was a fucking shit show for 10 to 15 years of my life.
Dude, I'm sorry, but that's just the name of the game. I mean, you know, you have to spend money to make money. You know, you have to make sacrifices for the long term.
Okay, but when we're talking about going into one of the major cities in the fucking United States of America, you can't shut down the main way to get in there.
I mean, it's already shut down. That's the whole
problem.
No,
it's not.
Yes, it is. They literally they have the roads blocked. How are people stuck in traffic for 2 hours if the lanes aren't choked off? There's clear space issues.
We've been talking about this way too long. Where the fuck is Stumps?
All right, I don't know where Stumps is. But Ron, if we want to talk about a shit show, let's talk about Ron Hextall for a second.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's just talk about Ron Hextall. Ron Hextall went on to a Cam and Shtick podcast. I just listened to the full episode. It was telling, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that was like line in the sand for Bobby Clark, this was basically the whole thing. Bobby Clark was on a podcast talking about Ron Hextall and basically just crapping all over him, saying that, like, I can't believe like what this guy did. He isolated himself. And one of the examples he gave was the second overall pick. When we picked Nolan Patrick, he was supposed to be this, just like, with the number 2 pick, you want a generational player. You just do, especially in the NHL. Like, if you have the number 2 pick, it means it isn't going right for 2 years. So it's really important to get those picks right. And we drafted Nolan Patrick instead of Cale Makar. And Cale Makar has been unbelievable, especially this year. Like, he's really showing out, and it's been amazing to watch just as a hockey fan. I just want to show you guys a highlight of Cale Makar. The audio is not great. Thanks, StreamYard. This might be our last StreamYard stream.
One of those.
Oh, yeah, it's the way it goes. But this is one of the highlights from just this week. It happened the day the podcast came out and everything that was going on. So.
A little stutter step to the corner, and now McKinnon behind the net.
That's Cale.
Off to Makar. Makar holds In the corner, and now along the half court. Oh, beautiful wheel around move. The and scores!
Like what?
Colorado.
That is fucked.
What a play by Cale Makar. So beautiful. Like
gorgeous. You're gorgeous.
It was unbelievable. And he's a defenseman. Like, this is a defenseman doing this stuff. It's generational talent that just
I didn't know that.
No, he's a defenseman. And generational talent that just, he was picked right after Nolan Patrick. Awesome. Because the Avalanche were just like, okay. It was like the Vikings drafting Justin Jefferson.
I was going to say, was it like a Rager pick?
Yeah.
Wow.
It really was.
And I did not know that.
And Hextall continued to make moves like this and isolate his scouts. Like, imagine if Dombrowski was just like holed up in a room by himself and decided to pass on like Mick Abel or something or whatever, whoever the number 2 pick was this past year. That's what happened. And now we're still feeling the effects of that because, like, how do you recover from pick your number 2 overall being Nolan Patrick? I just don't think you really can't. You can't do that quickly, especially in the NHL.
He should ask Howie Roseman because he just fucking did it. So
yeah. Now, Seamus, I do have a question.
Literally
for
just
you.
did it.
When you compare it to the baseball draft, like what's kind of like because you can have guys that are like number 1 overall picks in baseball like never see the league, right?
Mm-hmm. That's
so like
fair.
how does that shake out with hockey draft picks? Just because I don't really know the whole farm system, scout system. Like, I don't know how it all shakes out.
So I'm still like learning a little bit about the hockey kind of farm system, if you want to call it that. But there's just a bunch of, you kind of draft the rights to a player, because if you draft them, they can go to college, they can go over to Europe, or they could play in Canada, like in the EHL or something like that. Sure. But there's a bunch of different avenues in hockey, and once they come like under your wing, it's usually like 2 years on average. No, not on average. 2 years for the great players to show up in the NHL after being with your AHL team or your Canadian junior affiliate team or whatever. Like it takes a while. Like Nolan Patrick was drafted like 5-6 years ago, and this is like the first year that you're supposed to.
It was the Carson Wentz year. It was the same year that Carson Wentz got drafted. I remember because they took that picture like together or something, and they were like, "This is the future of Philadelphia." Like, oh my God, jerk me off. Like it's
yeah. So it's
big number 2s right there.
Yeah, awesome. So great.
Nice pun there. Nice pun.
Yay. Apparently the guy that went first overall in that draft is the captain of the New Jersey Devils now, right?
Jack Hughes.
Jack Hughes? Was he the number 1 guy in that draft?
I heard on the radio today that he didn't pan out. The guy that they took before
was it or did I get that mixed up? Because obviously I don't
know. I was listening to the radio today, and one of the guys was saying that the first 2 picks like didn't pan out in that draft, and then like the next 3, 4, 5, 6 picks are like studs in the NHL right now. I don't know who they are, but apparently
that's hilarious.
So it was 2017, which is 5 years ago, which was the draft, right, for Nolan Patrick. So the 2017 draft class was stacked, by the way. Like it wasn't just Cale Makar, but
perfect.
It had a bunch of names, but also Ron Hextall had chances to get like Brandon Shen, who's a Stanley Cup winner, or he traded Brandon Shen away for nothing, and he could have gotten O'Reilly from who's a Stanley Cup winner for the Blues. Got those mixed up. Sorry, just trying to get through.
Oh yeah,
but
there's a lot of movement.
A lot of movement.
Yeah.
So just there mistake after mistake after mistake. And then we just follow it up with a guy who's just like not good enough. He's just like not good enough. So it's brutal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's what I have for the Flyers.
Bobby Clark just threw him right under the bus. I mean,
dude,
he's an executive. He's an executive now for the Flyers.
Well, yeah, so he's still
right
working for the Flyers as like a special assistant. So like when he can like give input and stuff, like rally the alumni a little bit. So you need him in your corner. Not only because he is as Philly of a guy as anybody can be that's not from Philadelphia. Like that's
I mean, he's a top five. I mean, not being a hockey guy, even I know that Bobby Clark is like a top 5 Philly athlete of all time, like straight up.
Yeah.
So the fact that he is still in your administration and fully ripping the administration that not your, I mean, I'm talking to the Flyers right now. Sorry. The fact that he's in the Flyers administration right now and he's ripping them while he's got a job there doesn't really make me feel great about the Flyers as an organization. I mean, holy bad. I thought the Sixers were a bad organization, but the Flyers apparently are pretty bad too.
We might be on a second coaching change for this season. Like Mike Yo's not cutting it. Like
perfect.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Awesome. Well, I think we missed out on Stumps and the.
He said be there in 5, and he said, "Can you send me the link?" It was at 10:05, and I already did.
Awesome.
He said, "Can you send it at the Liberty Yell?" You never mind. I'm like,
there he is.
There he is.
Let me bring him in. Chris, are you ready, my guy? Little thumbs up, thumbs down. You ready?
He's
all right. Excellent.
Good.
My guy.
Oh,
what's up?
What's up?
What's up?
Welcome to this final segment of the Wolves of Broad Street podcast. My good friend Chris Stumpo of the Liberty Yell podcast, Flyers writer here at thelibertyline.com, and just a general savage. Stumps. We've already gotten into the Flyers a little bit. Kind of touched on the Bobby Clark appearance on the Cam and Strick podcast, talking about that Nolan Patrick pick and how bad it played out.
I wish we got him on our podcast.
Just how about Bobby Clark just absolutely ripping Hextall a new one?
As a 72-year-old at that too.
Yeah.
I mean, I said it in the article, the fact that a 72-year-old has more fire and anger on a podcast than I've seen from anybody in this organization within the last 10 years. It's pretty sad.
It's awesome.
But the one thing I did take away from that whole thing was not just what Hextall did, but it just shows you the fact that Hextall was really that stubborn. I mean, he got fired here in 2018 because he refused to take that next step and like trade picks and trade prospects to bring active players on his team. And the fact that Bobby Clark comes out and says this, who still works for the team, still represents the team, and basically says like, yeah, this dude shut his door and basically had like a F you, my way or the highway kind of attitude. And he really kind of just like doubles down on what we already kind of knew with Hextall and how stubborn he really was. And that's ultimately why he's not here anymore. So it was just kind of a nail in the coffin kind of thing. But it was interesting that Bobby Clark did say that on like a pretty listened to podcast. So yeah.
I got a question for you, Stubbs. Non-rules related. We can do that a little bit later.
No icing or anything?
No.
What's
I heard a lot about this guy Ryan Ellis coming into the season. Haven't heard too much about this guy since. So can you tell me what's going on there, please?
So basically, he played 4 games to start the season. I think he suffered the injury in the last preseason game, I believe.
Perfect.
And he thought he could play through it, and he ultimately couldn't. I mean, he put up 5 points in the first 4 games of the season, so like he was so good. And then the one game he comes back for 1 game in Dallas, and he assists on Provorov's first of the year, and then he gets automatically right back on the injury reserve. I don't know what it is. I don't want to sit here and speculate because it is a pretty serious injury, but it's something that it hasn't progressed at all since, because like they went into like the beginning before he came back from the Dallas, and they thought just rehab and like resting would help, and he did that, and he eventually came back, but then he just re-aggravated it. So now it's past the point where like it's been a month now since he went back on the back on IR. So I mean, we were told 4-6 weeks, and it's been past the 6 weeks was like before Christmas. So and it hasn't progressed at all. So I don't know whether they're going to shut him down for the season, which I wouldn't be shocked if they do. But yeah, I mean he's a good player, and would be a huge piece to that defense that we badly miss. But it's not Chuck Fletcher's fault that he like got hurt in preseason. Like he was fine leading up to preseason, and that last stupid preseason game he got hurt, and now he's been dealing with it ever since. So that's basically where we are with him.
That kind of sounds like the Deshaun Jackson injury 2020, where like he came out, looked great, and then just never saw the field again.
Basically like that. But he's not like Ryan Ellis shouldn't be at that point.
He's not there yet. Okay,
he shouldn't be, but like it's the injury concerns with him. Or I mean, I'm not gonna just like wash that away now because now we're kind of dealing with it and we're seeing the effects that it can bring. But I don't think it's Chuck's fault that he got hurt in the last preseason game. I mean, he can't prevent that. So
yeah,
Chris, would you compare the Flyers medical staff to like the Eagles medical staff from 3 years ago when there were so many questions and so much turnover in that department?
I mean, I think we're getting there. I mean, Brassard just got put back on IR. I mean, he's been up and down dealing with that hip issue, I believe, since December 8th, I believe he went out, played like a minute against, I think it was Ottawa or Detroit, and he's been one game back, one game out, one game back, and now we're finally seeing one IR. So yeah, I mean they don't have a lot of centers to play anyway. I mean, you got Couturier who's still out, and he's still dealing with an upper body injury, which they haven't really told us a lot about. Hayes is playing with two groin surgeries, and I'm pretty sure I sat on this exact podcast and told you that I was worried about him going into the season because of those two surgeries.
That did happen.
I believe you.
Brassard's on IR now, so that's Couturier, Hayes, and Brassard, which are all centers out. So you got Lawton, you got Giroux moving back to center, and then you got Morgan Frost, and then you got Jackson Cates and Bonneman or whatever. So that's basically what we're dealing with now. I mean, it's bad.
But you don't like Nate Thompson?
I mean, he's another one. I'm pretty sure he got shoulder surgery, and he's done for the season. It's the entire team right now, man. It's pretty bad. I mean, Ristolainen got put on the COVID list. It's the whole team. Yeah, but like the Flyers medical staff, I think they've had questions for a really long time now, and now we're just starting to. I mean, a lot of these guys you can look at and be like, should they really still be on the ice right now? Like what are we sacrificing these guys' like health for? I mean, we're fucking. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse.
Oh,
no, you definitely are. You absolutely
fucking last. Yeah. We're like last in the league. I mean, not last in the league. We're like, I think that the season end right now, we'd have like the 9th pick, 10th pick in the draft, and I mean, we're not a good hockey team right now. So I don't know like why does Kevin Hayes? I mean, I don't want to speculate again, but like it's so obvious to tell he's not 100%. Like, why is he still playing? Let's shut him down. Like, let him go get ready for next season. Let him get 100%. But I mean, they're hockey players. They want to play. I'm sure Kevin Hayes wants to be out there with his boys. So, I mean,
Keith Yandel? His boy Keith Yandel?
His best friend Keith Yandel. I mean, it's literally the Philadelphia Flyers and Kevin Hayes' friends. That's what we're watching now with like Brassard, all these guys, and I mean, it's been brutal.
Yeah. How old is Kevin Hayes, Stumps? Do you know off the top of your head?
I think he's like 28, 29.
Oh shit! For some reason, I thought he was like this guy who's like 33 years old, like still playing the game. Yeah, it might be the beard. I don't know.
The beard.
But, I got another question about just kind of where in the world is this guy? Obey Kubel, who had a
he's gone, man.
He's gone. He's not out of here.
Gone for
fucking.
I'm the worse of this shit. Stuff. Do I gotta hear about the NAK shit now,
dude? He was good in the bubble playoffs. Like,
I mean, he has
summer
3
That's the last time I watched the Flyers.
He has 3 goals in his last 5 games, and he has 5 goals in the entire season. So
where's he at? The Avalanche?
He's with the Avalanche right now, and he's putting up good points. And like everyone, like you'll see people Twitter like, oh, what did we give up? I mean, he's playing with McCarr, he's playing with McKinnon, he's playing with Rathman, he's on some really good lines. And like he was never like a bad player, but I mean, the penalties that he took. it was time to get rid of him. He's playing with a really good team up there, probably one of the best teams in the NHL. Colorado Avalanche are a cheat code. I mean, you guys have seen the McCarr goals. He's playing on some solid lines.
Yeah, we played one on the air.
I mean, he's elite. He's a generational talent on the defensive end. He's going to be one of the best. I mean, he's only like 22, 23 years old. He might be younger than that, honestly. And he is an absolute superstar back there. So he's on an extremely good Avalanche team that has a lot of confidence. So, I mean, I'm happy he's putting up points, but let's not act like we gave up Peter Forsberg in his prime. Let's calm down there.
That's fair.
Sure.
Damn.
Stumps.
So outlook for the Flyers, not great right now. What would you say, like,
if this continues, dude, I'm begging for a top 10 pick. If this continues.
Yeah. So that's where I was gonna go with this. Like, where do you see the Flyers? Like, maybe 10 years from now?
Oh, I don't know, dude. Hockey's such a weird sport where a team can go from being bad to good. I mean, look at the Detroit Red Wings. Look at all these teams that are actually
they have good young talent on the Red Wings,
and we do too. And I hate because it's gotten to the point like we're all trashing on the entire team, and obviously, but like there's still talented players on this team. I mean, Konechny's only 23, Frost is only 22, Farabee's only 21. I mean, we got some really Ivan Provorov's 23, 24. You got a lot of young kids on this team. And you still got Forrester, you still got York, who's looked absolutely fantastic when he's been out there. And you still got an extremely young team. But then you got to start. If this continues, you got to start looking at moving Drew. Is Drew going to resign here?
Well, so fair. But also, what do you think about Konechny right now? Like, he's not connecting like on any goals.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, thanks. Danny has a stronger opinion on him than I do. Okay. Danny would probably be snapping right now about Konechny. But I mean, yeah, he hasn't been the goal scorer that we ultimately have paid him to be, and that we've seen. Now, I was just talking to Danny today on text.
Is he still there though? Like,
yeah, he's still there. He's absolutely still there. It's all confidence. It's all up here with him.
Okay.
And he gets when he gets frustrated, like when Drew gets frustrated and he starts like throwing heavy checks out there, and you can tell on his face that like he's just putting all that frustration into his game. When Konechny gets frustrated, he starts chirping at refs. He starts just doing dumb shit. And I think that's what you see. And I think he just got to mature, honestly, on the ice. He just got to mature. And like I said, I just got done saying this team is so young and talented. They are. I mean, the skill is there. They just it sounds really cliche, but they just have to go out there and play. You know what I mean? Just like stop thinking about it so much and just go play hockey. It's definitely still there for Konechny. I mean, I think by the end of the season, he'll have at least probably 12 or more goals. I mean, he's at like 5 or 6 now, but
yeah, I don't want Konechny to mature. I like him the way. I mean,
you can still play the way he plays.
As a player, yeah.
You can still play the way he plays and mature. I mean, dude, he was like barking at refs, getting 10 minutes in the conducts because like he was begging for like a cross check penalty. And I'm like, dude, like you haven't scored a goal in like 18 games, dude. You have no room to be screaming at refs for penalties, man. You got to go out there and perform, and then you'll get those calls. You know what I mean? Like those refs aren't stupid. Like they know that you like they like hockey. I'm sure they're looking at it. Like, Konechny hasn't had a goal in 16 games, and he's telling me to go fuck myself. Okay, like all right,
I bet he is.
Get in the fucking box, dude. Like you want to chirp at me, dude?
It's
the same thing you see with rookies in like almost every league. Like they got to earn that respect. They're not going to get that call, like especially in the NBA. I mean, those rookies don't get those calls.
They
don't get those calls. You got to get that respect within the league and then the refs, man.
Well, now on the flip side, I'm going to bring it back to football, where I guarantee you, as soon as the first hit on Tom Brady that we get this weekend, boom, flag.
Oh yeah, bad.
Probably,
especially if it's low, if anywhere below the knees.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be
man.
It's gonna be rough there.
Below the belly button, man. Like
yeah. Stumps. I'll say this about TK. I see him out there, and he's out in front of the net, and he looks more concerned about fucking with the guys around him than like where the puck is half the
That's
time.
That's what I'm saying. He loses where his frustration should be going in, not like fucking with the dudes around you. You know, yeah, definitely. That you just backed up what I just got done saying with him.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. It's crazy. It all just gets too external with him. And dude,
He's a good
I like
player,
watching the Flyers. Yeah, I like watching the Flyers, but it's not like I was talking to you and Danny about this in the DMs. Like you see other teams play, like you see you see our Anaheim Ducks go out,
Liberty Quack.
top it up on the ice. The Liberty Quack coming to the podcast.
Yeah, bro, dude. Honestly, they're fucking disgusting.
All of you,
dude. It's like it's like a different game. It doesn't look like the hockey that the Flyers play. It just looks like a different sport.
The Penguins have been without Malkin. They just got Malkin back yesterday, and they've been on an absolute tear. I mean, like they have such a good system where they can put anybody in place. I mean, you got of course you got Crosby. I mean, you got like Evan Rodriguez, who like is a good player, but he's not as good as he. I mean, he's not that good right now the way he's playing. It's just that that team elevates every single player that plays, and if you're playing next to Crosby, I mean,
how old is Malkin? I feel like he's been around since I've been alive.
I think he's up there, 36, maybe 35. I mean, I could find out.
Yeah,
I mean, he's definitely up there.
It was a realization for me in terms of hockey. I mean, everybody knows that I just don't know
35.
Shit,
he's 35. He's not that old. He's got at least 6 more years in him.
Yeah. So the realization for me was when I found out that Sidney Crosby is like what 32 or something,
yeah,
like
he's young.
something crazy, like young.
Man.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah, he's not. He's 34. So,
wow. Yeah, that's
he's
awesome.
still got at least 10. I say 43, 44 with him. I mean, he's so good, man. He's a best of all time, easily top 5.
That's great stuff. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Stumps, for enlightening me on or all of us on the NHL and in general and the Flyers more specifically. So we really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anytime. Got to get Danny here next time,
dude.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For real.
You got to get him out of the bunker. Got to get him out of Bin Laden's bunker.
Oh, no. You remember that?
Yeah.
He was coming at us.
Was that this show?
Just a light swim.
Yeah, it was it. It was
on the Wolves, bro. Back in like July.
Just like in the corner with his phone. It was like, hello.
We like just made that Ellis trade. I remember I was like, because I was in South Carolina. I listened to that. That's what I learned of the hashtag Chuck fucks. I mean, I don't know how much fucking he's doing these days, but regardless, Stubbs, we appreciate you coming on, folks. Listen to the Liberty Yell at the Liberty Yell, of course, on Twitter. Best Flyers podcast in the game right now. I mean, some people say these guys have no drive to succeed, but like those are just
shout out to that guy.
Shout out to that fucking freak in the Twitter comments.
And hey, we love those people.
We do love the freaks in the comments. We wouldn't be anywhere without the freaks in the comments.
I'd be where I am today, bro. Look at this.
Look at this dude.
Look at this.
Oh man! All right. Thank you, man. Sam, might as well just go into the sign off right here.
Sure. Why not? So, thank you everybody for listening to this edition of the Wolves of Broad Street podcast. My name is Sam Glavin. You can follow me at SamGlavin06. Follow my partners at Ryan Conway76 at Shamelessly SG. Seamus has been doing a great job producing the show, cutting up the highlights for us on the gram, being consistent as fuck. Shout out to at Liberty Line PHL and thelibertyline.com. Check out all the blogs and stuff. And big shout out to Vic at the Philly Pod for coming on the show. Big shout out to Y Play Floor Supply, our sponsor, and of course, Parks Casino Sportsbook. Use code Wolves69 to get a risk-free bet of up to $500. Am I missing anything? I don't think so. Follow at Wolves Abroad ST on all of the social media things. Seamus G, close us down.